Guys, why are you all up the back there? I've had my shots. I'm okay. Well, I've had most of my shots. Not all of them. How are we? Oh, shivers. Don't go too fall off the edge. You'll have to come and get me. How are we all? Guys, some good-looking heads in the audience today. Yesterday, ugly. Must have been a Friday thing. I'm joking. You're all pretty good-looking in Melbourne, if you ask me. I got to say that. I said it in Adelaide. I say it in Perth. I say it everywhere. Caravans. This is the first time ever in my life I've been to a caravan show. Ever. 5 years ago, if you'd said to me I was going to come to a caravan show, I probably would have said, yeah, I can see that happening. But what I would never have picked is the demographic that I haven't picked. I've got to be a bit careful how I say this. I thought a caravan show, how do I say this nicely? I thought a caravan show would have a lot more blue hair, if that kind of makes sense. And I'm gee whiz, I'm starting to enter that same demographic, so I'm not knocking anyone at all. But I thought the age group would be slightly slewed in a different direction to what I'm finding. Hands up if you guys know who the heck I am and why you're sitting here. All right, well, I'll show you the first video anyway because it kind of gives you an idea of where I'm at. Hello, you two. I'm going to push this green. It's a big green button. Even I can't get it wrong, but I've got to stand somewhere so that you can all see. Tell you what, there's adventures, and then there's this halfway across the Durack. We're not even a fifth of the way through this track right now. This is epic! The old G60. We got her back on the road. Come on, old girl. 12th time, I've done the tally. First time, I've camped directly on the track. Are you dignity of it? See ya. Wowzers! So for the better part of 17 years, that's what I did, starting out with the magazines. Who remembers Four-Wheel Drive Monthly? Couple of old farts up the back are shaking their heads. Yeah. Four-Wheel Drive Action? Yeah, a couple of the younger people. So magazines were sort of going to go the way of the dinosaur and fade out, and that meant I was going to fade out, and I have no skills, zero, zip. So I was looking at Bunnings, and being my height, I can't reach the top shelves, so I was limited to what I could do at Bunnings. So we thought, well, why don't we just keep doing what we love doing, and that is making these things, but we've got to put them somewhere else. So we did a bit of a vote between us, and should we go to TV? Because back in the day, that was still viable, it was an option. Or do we do this weird thing called YouTube? And I didn't really know much about it. No one really did. We took a punt, went to YouTube, primarily because we could control certain factors of YouTube that we can't control on TV. And we took a big punt, and we went to YouTube and started making what's now called Four-Wheel Drive 24/7. Anyone know what that is? Okay. So I've been doing that for quite some time. I was a lot taller and had brown hair way back in the day. I guess with anything you do over a period of time, it becomes something of a job. Does that make sense? No matter what it is, it becomes something of a job. I got a mate during university, for 3 or 4 years of university, he studied to be a doctor. He made money by applying. He made money by applying spray-on tan to ladies at the beach. It became a job after a while. So anything can become a job, and that was where I was at with what I was doing. So it was during COVID, actually, that I'm getting somewhere with this story. It's long-winded, but I am getting somewhere, trust me. It was actually during COVID. Remember that? You guys in Victoria, you didn't really affect you much, eh? That is a touchy subject. I lived in WA, and I think we had 3 cases. Yeah. Anywho, travel for me wasn't a big deal. I could. It was a funny time actually. Travel was actually quite easy to do. You just had to get permits to travel, and it was quite easy to do. So I was still traveling back and forth, and I managed to escape that isolation thing you had to do for the majority of COVID. I only had to do it once. So I was smart. I booked an Airbnb on the Swan River with a balcony and a barbecue, and I actually had a very nice 2 weeks. Sorry, Melbourne, I'm rubbing this in. This is not pleasant at all. It was during that COVID period that I was speaking to one of my bosses, and I said, listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm just not frothing, driving up and down hills and into mud puddles anymore. I need to do something else. And they said, well, what do you fancy? And I said, I want to see more of Australia. And they said, well, that on its own is probably not going to cut the mustard. How do we do it? I said, well, look, I think there's something in this caravan industry. I reckon there could be something there. So 3 or 4 years ago, we put together a program called Off Grid. We needed someone just more than me, someone that actually looks halfway decent on camera, so we put an ad out on our social media platforms. We got about 10,000 applicants. I was just looking for a couple of people to come with me. We got about 10,000 applicants. To be honest, I just got bored looking through them all, so I picked 2 people at random. didn't actually. I just went through them quite closely. And we come up with a young couple called Steph and Harley. You all know who they are. And so 2 years ago, 2 and a bit years ago, we started this thing called Off Grid. And we said we'd give ourselves 3 to 4 years. Let's see if we can get somewhere in 3 to 4 years. We set some targets, and we met those targets halfway through season 1. So basically, Off Grid was a huge hit from the start. So I'll give you a look at, you all know what, but I'll push the green button anyway because I like doing it. You all know what I'm talking about. Folks, this stretch of gravel right here lies right under the noses of most Aussies. Caravan life has got me well and truly hooked. This won't be as easy as it looks. What a bloody spot! Such a cool creature. Fascinating part of the world. You've got to put this one on your bucket list. I think I'm wearing the same shirt as I was in that show. So that's the fundamentals of Off-Grid. It's very basic. I get to choose. I kind of run it. It's kind of my little baby. I choose a lap of Australia each year, and everything's paid for, and I get paid to do it. So I'm living the dream. Again, I'm back living the dream again. Back to the caravan side of things. Prior to Off-Grid, prior to the day we pushed record on Off-Grid, I'd never towed a caravan. I'm being honest with you. I'm no expert. I had never I didn't even know how to hitch one up. Wasn't even too sure how the whole bloody thing worked. But we managed to get it done. And I am now, I consider myself still just dipping my toe in the industry. Hands up, how many of you own a caravan out there? There's about 4 of you. You know this is a caravan show, right? How many of you are looking at buying a caravan? How many of you couldn't give a rat's about caravans? What are you doing here? I like it. I like it. Now, as I said previously, if you'd said 5 years ago I was going to be running at a caravan show, filming a caravan show, and immersing myself in the world of caravans, I probably would have said that makes kind of sense. I wasn't ready for it 5 years ago. But I never would have picked how much it has gelled with me. I kind of thought I'd do it as a job and it'd be okay, but I couldn't wait to get back to me 4B. It's quite the opposite. I feel a bit weird now having the 4B without the caravan. I really have fallen in love. I'm going to use the old hashtag van life word for a second there. I've fallen in love with van life. But there is one huge but. And I'm very, I don't know, and I'm going to ask you guys for advice and help and see what you guys think about this. In 17 years of doing this job, I have never seen Australia more packed, more busy, more people on the road, more crowded campsites, towns where you can't even get into them. Never. It's never been like this. And 3/4, the vast majority, have vans on the back. Are any of you seeing this? Are you knowing what I'm talking about? You're seeing it? So I'm to give you an idea how conflicted I am, last year I looked at buying a caravan. I won't say what brand because then you'll all go, oh, good, this is what he boys would. I looked at buying a caravan. I had money in the bank. I was ready to put a deposit on it. And I sat down one night and drank 16 bottles of red wine and came up with the idea that maybe Australia's not ready yet, and I don't know if, conflicted. So I've just finished filming, we've just come through South Australia. We just did York Peninsula, Kangaroo Island. Went across to Kangaroo Island. We didn't take the vans across to Kangaroo Island because of the... Anyway, who's been to KI? Who's been to KI here? Pretty expensive, eh? To get across by virtue of the... I think 3 cars cost us $980 return. If you added 2 caravans to that, it would have been close to your 1,500 mark. So we left the caravans on the mainland, went across to KI. Even Kangaroo Island, which has a plethora of free camping spots, every free camping spot on Kangaroo Island was wall-to-wall caravans out of season. This is KI. How do you all feel about it? I'm. What's causing it? How are people affording to be out there on the road in the last 3 years? Anyone got any? I'm genuinely interested. They've worked hard. So how come just in the last 3 years, though? It's 2024. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, but why now? Why not 1980? Sorry? Yeah, that's a big one that people were saying yesterday. But what are they doing remotely? Yeah. Can I do it? I want to work remotely. I'd like to do it. Well, I kind of am. You're right. Yeah, I sort of am. So yeah, there's this big conflict. Oh, if you've got any questions too about 4.24/7 relationship advice, I can do anything. What are you laughing for? I can help you out. This is one I usually do at a four-wheel drive show. I'll give you some advice. It's got absolutely nothing to do with caravans, but it seems none of you are here for caravans anyway, so I'll give you some relationship advice. If you've got a partner, it's 2024, that could be a goat for all I know. It's a weird time to be alive, but I get kicked out of a lot of four-wheel drive shows. I'm going to see if I can get kicked out of a caravan show. Your partner, right? Go to the shop and get a chili. Not just the red chili. I mean, the ones that are all, like a little Carolina Reaper, a bad boy, a little nasty one. Get one of them, and doesn't matter if it's a he, she, whoever you're doing it to with your partner, put it around the lip of their drink of choice. So if they're drinking a red wine, put it around the glass. If they enjoy beer, dab it around the edge of their beer. They'll go to take a sip, and it'll nearly kill them. It'll burn, and it'll be nasty. And, yeah, it's funny to watch. Have some sort of emergency first aid on standby because it can get quite nasty. But if that person is still with you the next day, marry them because they're a keeper. I've done it. It works. I did it to Sean. Still with him. Not with him. Not with him. Where the heck was I? Caravans, number of people on the road. Who's heard of the little town of Exmouth in I'm not trying to put anyone off here either by these stories I'm telling. I'm not trying to put everyone off. You guys are here again. It's the same speech. I'm sorry. I'm just rehashing. Same this afternoon as well. Exmouth. We were filming last year. Actually, it wasn't last year. It was the year before we were filming. We'd just come up the Ningaloo coast. Stunning. Hadn't been too crowded on the Ningaloo coast. We'd sort of got away with it. My producer needed to charge his cameras. He hadn't had a shower in a few days, so he was keen for a shower. I said, look, let's just get some accom when we get to Exmouth, and we'll go to the pub. We'll have dinner. You can charge your cameras. We'll have a shower. We got close to Exmouth. We got the old TripAdvisor. Nothing. Not one room. Not one room in the whole of Exmouth. This is a holiday town, by the way. Not one room, not one Airbnb, nothing. Not even... I said, well, look, mate, you're going to have to come to the caravan park with us and roll out your swag. At least you can use the amenities there and have a shower. I think there's 3 caravan parks in Exmouth. This is out of season, way out of season. Nothing. Not one availability in any of the caravan parks in Exmouth. Nothing at all. I said, streets are getting a bit serious now. There's a huge oval in Exmouth, massive overflow. I went there, gates were locked, can't get in. The only way you can get into the overflow at Exmouth is to line up at the Tourist Bureau between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. and get a pass as someone else comes out of the overflow. So you could not get into the town of Exmouth because of caravans. We ended up driving out of town. There's big signs everywhere saying no camping in the town facilities, you get fined. We went out of town and camped near the rubbish pit and stayed there the night and then kept going south. Streaky Bay in South Australia. No, Streaky Bay, you've all been there. It's close to you, it's across the border. We were driving into Streaky Bay. There were caravans lined up to come into town. So what I'm sort of getting at here is the number of people on the road, sure, okay, it's cool. People are working from home. There's a change happening. There's a massive change happening, shifting. I don't think Australia is equipped to handle the number of people that are currently on the road. Remember during COVID again. Remember when all the planes had to land and there physically wasn't enough place to put them? I think it's something like that. We've got a whole heap of vans, but usually all these vans would be in people's driveways because you never used them. We're suddenly using them and there's nowhere to put them. It's a bit of a strange one. It's a bit of an odd sort of an occurrence that I don't think we've seen before. Now, my question to you, I've got questions for you guys. Who's travelling at the moment? Is anyone travelling at the moment? No one? Does that info put you off travelling? It doesn't. See, this is the bit that wigs me out. Okay, doesn't put you off travelling, so you're all happy to be bunched into campgrounds. You're not happy. Okay, this is what I don't get. I don't get it. This is why I didn't buy a caravan, because I don't want to be bunched into caravan parks. I don't want to be bunched into free camps with heaps of other people. So everyone's still willing to travel, but you don't want to see other people. So how does it work? Please, for the love of God, tell me, how does it work? Everyone's not shaking their head. Go off grid. But, well, yeah, good. That's a good plan. That's a solid plan. What I have found, here's my answer, and it's not a great answer, but it works. You've got to reverse everything. So when it's stinking hot, go where it's hotter. Yeah, I know, it sucks, but when it's stinking hot, go where it's hotter. When it's freezing cold, go colder. So that means traditionally we'd all go north in winter, right? to escape the winter blues. But so does everyone else. So go south during winter. This does work. You will now have empty campsites. Spend the winter in Jindabyne. I'm not joking. Just adopt a different mentality. School holidays? Well, first and foremost, don't have kids. Because that makes it tricky. Sorry to all the parents out there. That's a tricky one. School holidays, you're going to be pigeonholed into what you can do. Who's ever had any experience with teaching their kids on the road? Yeah? How'd you go with that? Yeah, it works? Oh. Okay. Oh, you're sweet, bro. That's an option, I guess, because then you can travel inside and outside of school holiday times. School taught me nothing. There's no kids in the audience, are there? No, don't even worry about school. Just drop out. Teaching your kids on the road. Getting outside of school holidays if you can. Another mentality shift that I guess we've got to try and get our heads around. The second factor that we found works an absolute treat. The coast line of Australia is where traditionally it's where everyone lives, but it's also where everyone holidays. We don't think of going inland. Now, we just did a trip end of last year up through the Fraser Range, which is very close to a mecca for holidaymakers on the west coast. But the Fraser Range is half a day's drive inland. The coast was on the news. There were that many people on the Northwest Coastal Highway. It actually made the news. But inland by half a day in the Fraser Range, which was stunning, spectacular, we had empty campsites to ourselves. So just that little mentality shift too works for us from a filming perspective, going where other people don't go. The way to do that, in my humble opinion, is try and avoid peak periods and try and go where people don't go, i.e. inland, and when it's hot, go hotter, and when it's cold, go colder. So that's the first thing that's sort of blown my mind when it comes to me dipping my toe into the caravan world. Everybody has a caravan. I didn't know it. And they're taking them all over Australia, and somehow, in a way that I can't understand, you can all afford to do it. First thing that's blown my mind. I don't get it. I'll figure it out. When I do, I'll let you know, because I reckon I'll be onto a secret. The second, coming from 17 years of the four-wheel drive industry, I thought the four-wheel drive industry had some pretty cool technology. That's the short word for the youngsters in the crowd. Just one day at this show has cemented what I thought was true, and that is that the caravan industry leaves the four-wheel drive industry for dead when it comes for tech. To give you an example, this is just one example, and I'm not promoting anyone's products or doing anything, but I'm going to give you an example of the kind of tech I'm talking about. Behind me, directly behind me, there's a van. The van's not the important part, it's what's in it. Makes its own water out of the air. Yes, it's black magic. I don't understand how it works. I heard that these guys, I think, was it you two that were out there? Yep. They were in the middle of nowhere, pressure washing their solar panels and others' solar panels because they had too much water. Also, they're planning to put a vegetable garden in the front of their van and grow microgreens whilst on the road. The tech is phenomenal. Now, I thought I was pretty cool because I had a 240 amp hour lithium battery in my vehicle. I got nothing. These guys can run a house, a Tesla, and charge a motorbike in half an hour. So the tech that goes with caravans. Oh, sorry, semantics. It won't charge your car in that time. No, it takes a little bit longer. My bad. The tech in the caravan world has blown my mind. Question to you guys. Just close your ears for a second here. Have we gone too far? Are we going too far? Are we erasing the simple pleasures of going bush? When you pull up to a van, a park somewhere, and someone's antenna shoots out the top, the side comes out, there's a spa bath at the bottom. Are we? I had a spa last night. I don't like spas, and I know I don't like spas. But management booked me a really nice hotel room. It's got a spa in it. So I ran a spa last night, and it was too hot. I sat in it. I came out. I looked like a grape that had drunk too much. Anywho, it's a weird image. Get that out of your head straight away. Hands up. What's the go? Are we eroding the simple pleasures of going bush? I grew up with... Oh, crikey, who said that? That was an emphatic yes. Oh, that's a cute little doggy. Look at that fella. For me, I grew up when a swag was even luxury. You didn't take... Well, I used to go bush on a three-wheel motorbike with my old man. We used to use that to get down to the beach to go fishing because four-wheel drives just didn't exist. And if they did, they were a work tool. They were certainly not something you would drive as a family car. And I think... I just wonder, maybe I'm coming from an older generation here, are we missing the simplicity of immersing ourselves in nature when we have the ability to take literally more tech with us than we have at home? And I guess that's the second part of what's blown my mind when it comes to these vans. Yes, you can buy very, very simplistic vans. You can. But even the most simple vans out there are still shelters from wind. They're shelters from storms. You're not putting up with the elements. You're getting away from them. I'm loving it. I truly am loving it. But does it take away from that reason why we're out bush in the first place? Or am I just getting old and grumpy? Bit of both, yeah. Could be true. Could be true. So this has been I'm learning. I really don't even know why I'm on this stage. I'm the same as you guys. I'm just learning this whole caravan thing. There's been three things I figured out. Those have been the first two. The crowds, the crazy tech, but then there's this third thing. And this is where the two others evaporate. We were camped at a place called... No, I'm not going to tell you where it was because it's too nice. You can find it yourself. We pulled up to this spot. There was one other van there, but they were 300 metres away. And there's a big mountain range right in front of the campsite. And the sun sets behind the camp. Put my awning up. I got a fire going. The film crew had left because they had to fly out of Perth, so they hightailed it back down. I was going to take 2 more days to get home, so just take my time to get home. This is the end of season 1. I'd set up my camp. Awning was out. Hadn't had a shower in a few days. I had the hot water going in the caravan. I had a big fire going out there. I had some lamb shanks that I was going to cook that night on the fire. And like I said, there's this big mountain range in front of me. The sun was going down behind me, and this mountain range just lit up. And I put a bit of music on, and I had this van thing happening behind me. It was so comfy, and yet I was still doing it. Does that make sense? I could go in that night and have a hot shower, come back out, poke the fire, grab another brewski, lamb shanks, big king-size bed inside, and I just looked around and thought to myself, I found it. I found what I want to do for a little while. And that's what's erasing the other two. I've just got to figure out how to get away from the crowds and maximise the tech such that I'm still immersing myself in what I fundamentally find being the reason for being out there in the first place. And that's where I'm at with the caravan world right now. If we've got any questions about caravanning, probably ask one of the experts around here. Anything else, though, you can ask me. Go for it. What I find with crowds is people get scared. They don't like asking the first question. It's like, oh, my God, my head's going to fall off. Your head's not going to fall off. You can ask any questions you like, and I'll answer them. Or you can all just move on, and we can go on with our lives. Nothing? No questions? Ooh. What does that mean? I'm confused. Yeah, that's easy. We've got lots of different people. So I do off-grid, other people do the other one, and we don't mix. No. So you probably won't see me on the main show much anymore. And I guess if I'm being honest, after having done it for, it's and the platform for that show, as you know, is Hard Tracks. That's the kind of the platform for it, and it works remarkably well. It gets more views than any other show out there. But the reality is, Australia's hard track scene is slowly but surely evaporating. It's harder and harder to find hard tracks. A couple of reasons for that. They are getting closed. And that's not some green conspiracy as everyone thinks. It's just, how do you manage something that you're not getting money for? It's way easier to close it, so it gets closed. And secondly, vehicles have changed. Back when I was a youngster, 90 years ago, there was a lot more solid axle vehicles, so it was easier to have a vehicle that could go to work on Monday and drive extremely hard tracks on the weekend. Now with everyone's got dual cab IS vehicles, they don't handle tough tracks as much as they did. So tough tracks aren't being used as much as they are. They're overgrowing. They're not getting... So that scene is becoming harder to follow. And like I said earlier, I needed something that was going to spark my interest as a presenter and get me fired up. And I didn't think caravanning would in the way that it has, but that's why I've gone this direction. And the other guys are going to stick with the hardcore kind of stuff. Anyone else? Anybody? No? Oh, last minute. Yeah, mate. With the vans? Yeah, look, that's a tough one. So I needed to build up a vehicle for off-grid. So I decided to build and stick with the world's best vehicle brand out there. And so I did not buy a cruiser, that's correct. So I built up that Y62. And even though that is, probably, I think the maths suggest it's probably 8 times stronger than your average cruiser. Even so, it does put stress on it. Yeah, it does. You do have to be a bit wary of it. It's my own vehicle. I paid for it, so I am cautious. But generally speaking, towing isn't. Once you get that momentum up and you're moving and towing, the van just glides along behind you. It really doesn't do too much to it. What you've got to. I've got another 5 minutes, guys. If you just want to sit back down, that'd be. The big thing is your unexpecteds, your washouts. Hitting corners too hard, driving corrugations too fast. If you're aware of that, then nah, you're pretty well right. It's the van you've got to worry about more than the car, to be honest. That gets knocked around a fair bit. Yeah, mate. To be honest, man, again, when we first picked them up, I thought, shivers, if we get through a season with these things, I literally said to management, if we get through a season with these things, I'll be bloody surprised. They're built like a brick outhouse. They're actually really strong. No secret. They come out of China, so they're all steel. They're heavy, but they are strong. Where some of them will let you down is in their componentry. So certain aspects of it, and that's oftentimes that stuff that's been put in when they come into Australia. So your 12 volt might fail, or your lighting might fail. You might get holes in water tanks, or stuff like that. But the mechanics behind them, we have found them to be actually pretty darn good. Yeah, pretty strong. Not too bad at all. I was shocked by it. Yeah. Anyone else before I get kicked off, escorted out? Yep. With a camper trailer. Who's ever owned a camper trailer here? Who would own a camper trailer again here? The numbers don't lie. I've owned a camper trailer. I've owned 2. Went around Australia in 2006 with a soft floor camper trailer. Never again. I'll be honest. Never again. I think also the answer is no. The answer is no. Just so I can get to you, just so you know, so I can answer your question. When you use something like the hybrids, and you can, my eyesight's terrible, but they're not that expensive by comparison to a really, really, really good camper trailer. The ease with which you can get in and out of a hybrid, put up a hybrid, the amount you can take, the amount of water, the electricity, the double bed, the shower, the toilet, and the lack of wet canvas suggests to me, and the sales figures that I'm seeing from manufacturers when I talk to them, camper trailers are probably going to become very marginalised in the future. That's my thoughts. I could be completely wrong, but that's kind of what I'm saying. You obviously own or are about to buy a camper trailer. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. You weren't here 10 minutes ago, which is probably good. Okay, I mentioned something about. We won't go there, but for large families, you've got to take a whole heap of stuff with you. I think they're about the only answer you've got. Yeah. These hybrids won't work for a large family. You simply can't do it. So yeah, that's where the camper trailer market will still shine with large families. And the beauty of that is, I think in Australia it's not illegal. You can make your kids do all that. Get them to put it up. Yeah, and you just don't feed them until everything's set up. Like, it'll take a couple of days for them to figure it out, but they get hungry, man, and they'll do whatever you tell them. Oh, crikey. Where'd you all come from? Weirdos over there? You can come in here if you want. Okay, stay over there. Anyone else? You've come all this way to see this weird dude up on the stage. Go on, ask a question. I won't bite you. Anything you want to know about behind the scenes? How do we film? How do you get rich from YouTube? Start out as a millionaire. Yeah, that's not even a joke. Yeah, I am. Supposed to be taking it to the Kimberley this year. Another 2. It's working. Thinning him out. Supposed to be taking Shorty to the Kimberley this year. We've got some logistics with that, though, that will bore you, so I won't go into it. But, yeah, I'm hoping that it'll happen. We'll see. That's funny, though, because I drive Shorty like weekly. It's just you guys don't see it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's difficult because there's no money to be made out of Shorty anymore. There's no sponsors gear on it. So it's a tough one. I'd like to take it, though. We'll see how we go. What's the time? Ooh, I'm just about done. Anyone else? Go on, everyone. Last. Shorty, dude, that can't pull itself, let alone a Caravan. Still, it is a good car. No, it won't be part of off-grid. No. 2 main reasons. It's not very powerful, And secondly, I own a Y62. Who owns a Y62 here? Anyone? Yeah, you see? Good-looking folks up the back. Who's ever test-driven a Y62? What we say is, I'm being very serious throughout this, but I'll be serious now. What we say is, go and test drive a Y62, and then you have only one problem, and that is choosing the colour you're going to take. Greatest vehicle I've ever driven. I am lucky. I've driven so many different four-wheel drives in my career, heaps. And I don't believe there's a better value for money four-wheel drive on the market right now than a Y62 Patrol. The engine and gearbox combination is phenomenal. They just got it right. They got that vehicle right. There's nothing about it I would change. You're all going, yeah, but it's petrol. You can't walk across the waters and the rivers will kill your car and it's cost too much because it's expensive. Nope. No, none of that's true. Better fuel economy than a 79 when towing. Better fuel economy than a 200 when towing. Petrol is cheaper than diesel. Your service intervals are twice the distance. Sounds so much better. Is so much more powerful. Doesn't attract the opposite sex. I do enjoy my Y62. It is a brilliant car. I don't think I'll get rid of that one. I think it'll be the last of the V8, the big V8 petrol four-wheel drives. I don't think you'll see another one. The Y63, I think it's been announced that it'll be a twin-turbo V6. It'll be a better motor, but it won't have that same sound. It won't have that same torquey, powery kind of feel that a V8 does. So, for all of you out there that are wondering about a new car, you guys got any regrets? See? And it's emphatic. You never ask a Y62 owner if you got any regrets, and they're like, well, it's like, nope, none. Isn't that correct? There you go. Any other questions? You can see I'm not biased in any way. Who drives a Land Cruiser? Oh, some tentative hands going up. Yeah. Have you been shorn as yet, or are you still... Ooh, I won't go there. I nearly got lynched for the COVID comment. I heard it wasn't too bad. Oh, seriously. No, you're not serious. No, I heard it wasn't too bad over here. You guys handled it pretty well. Is that not true? No, I heard that it was pretty rough. You poor buggers. You really got the raw end of the stick over here. Let's hope it never happens again, eh? That was a pretty rough period. Anyone else before I get kicked off? You guys out here got any questions? Nothing? What are you even doing out there? Just hanging? Okay. You all get really embarrassed to look at you. Like, don't look at me. Stop looking at me. Rightio. Listen, I've got a strange thing I've got to do after this, or it's just after this. I've got to go down to Petters in a minute. I don't know why. Then I've got to come back up here, and there's a panel of experts that are going to be talking about the caravan industry and 12 volt and all that kind of stuff that I'm supposed to know, but I don't. So I'm going to be asking them questions, and I don't know what I'm going to say. So if you want to come back and be entertained by me not knowing what the hell I'm doing, come back up here at about 11:15, I think it is. No, it's after that. What's the time in Melbourne now? Anybody? 10 to 11, is it? Okay, Adelaide time. Righto. It's not Adelaide time, I should say. Thank you guys for coming out this weekend and enjoying the Caravan show. I had a look around yesterday because it was quite quiet this afternoon, and there are a lot of caravans here. Again, just tell me, who's in the market? Who's looking at caravans at the moment to buy one? Are you prepared to spend the big dollars, your 250s, your 200s? No one's prepared to spend that. No, okay. You got to wonder how they sell them, don't you? You got to wonder. $5,000? How old are you? I reckon people are travelling around. I reckon these two are travelling around selling drugs. No, I'm serious. It's the only way you can bloody do it. Yeah, well, it could be the water. Yeah, it's not just, they're selling water. Wink, wink. Yeah, you get a litre of water. No, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. I'm sure they're not. Yeah. Nice. Guys, enjoy the rest of your day. It is Saturday today, I believe. And yeah, if you see the world's greatest four-wheel drive with a caravan behind it travelling around Australia, I'm doing a lap every year. We're friendly. Come and say hello. Come and have a brewski with us and chat all things caravans. Cheers, legends.
This year's Victorian Caravan and Camping Supershow has more than ever.
An adventure zone, the RV master stage, a kids zone and the off-grid campground of the future.
Let's get going.
Melbourne Showgrounds, February 21 to 25. Tickets online. Start here, go anywhere.